everyone, welcome to The Explainer. So glad you're here today because, man, we are tackling an absolutely massive, universe-spanning topic. We're doing a real deep dive into the mind of probably the most recognizable science communicator on the planet, astrophysicist Neil deGrasse Tyson. Specifically, we're looking at his evidence-based approach to UFOs, alien life, and just our general place in the cosmos. So get ready, because we are going to look at some pretty extraordinary claims, weigh them against hard scientific data, and really explore the mind-bending extremes of our universe.
Okay, let's dive into this. For decades, if you even brought up UFOs or aliens visiting Earth, Neil deGrasse Tyson was the ultimate skeptic, right? He was the guy patiently explaining why that blip on a radar or that blurry light in the sky was definitely not a spaceship. But recently, something shifted. He actually started taking the conversation seriously enough to engage with it on a major public level, framing it in a brand new context. So you gotta wonder, why is the scientific status quo suddenly being challenged like this? Well, that brings us to our first section, why Tyson cares now. To really understand this shift, we have to look at what actually changed in our cultural landscape. Tyson put it like this. He said, no longer can you discount the testimony the way you might have done so before with the farmer in the back 40. And that's absolutely crucial. The catalyst for his new engagement isn't, a fresh batch of blurry photos. It's the people making the claims. We're not talking about isolated observers whose eyes might just be playing tricks on them anymore. We are talking about sworn testimony from high-ranking government, military, and intelligence officials. And look, when people at that level speak up, science has to at least ask to see the data. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is just the sheer scope of these allegations. It is staggering. If we trace the timeline, whistleblowers, most notably former intelligence official David Grush, have presented claims to Congress about alleged crash retrievals that supposedly go all the way back to an Italian craft in 1943. I mean, that implies 60 to 80 years of secret black project cover-ups, culminating in these recent 11-hour sworn congressional testimonies. And the key word here is sworn. These folks are making extraordinary claims under actual legal jeopardy. If they lie under oath, they go to jail. That right there is what elevated this whole conversation from the internet fringe straight into the congressional record.
All right, moving on to Section 2, the odds of alien rife.
Let's zoom out for a second, away from the halls of Congress, and look at the statistical scale of the cosmos. Just look at this number, 6,000. That is the number of confirmed, cataloged exoplanets orbiting other stars since we found the very first one back in 1995. And remember, we've only searched a teeny tiny fraction of our cosmic neighborhood. Tyson loves to point out that the basic ingredients for life, carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, they're literally the most abundant elements in the entire universe. And when you consider that life on Earth emerged almost as fast as it possibly could have, well, the mathematical odds heavily favor intelligent life existing somewhere out there.
But hey, before we get too confident, we definitely need a healthy dose of epistemological humility. Notice how everything we know, everything we can see, touch, and study, the planets, the stars, you, me, it all makes up just 5% of the universe. The other 95%, that's what we call dark matter and dark energy. Honestly, Tyson jokes that he'd rather just call them Fred and Wilma because saying dark matter kind of makes it sound like we actually know what it is. And we don't. It's literally just a placeholder for our ignorance. The truth is, we truly only comprehend a tiny fraction of reality.
Which brings us to Section 3. Bring out the alien. So the crucial point is this. If we admittedly don't know everything, but highly credible people claim we have alien hardware, how is a scientist supposed to respond? Well, by applying the strict, rigorous requirements of the scientific method. You really have to understand the difference between how society judges truth and how science judges truth. In a court of law, a high-ranking military official swearing under oath, that's incredibly powerful evidence. That can literally put someone in prison. But in the court of science, eyewitness testimony is the absolute lowest form of evidence. I mean, human psychology and cognitive biases trick us all the time. We hallucinate, we misremember, our optical systems are fundamentally flawed. Science requires verifiable, physical data that can be tested over and over again by independent instruments.
And that leads right to Tyson's incredibly blunt, simple demand regarding all these whistleblower claims. He just says, bring out the alien, put it in town square. Basically, if governments actually have alien crash parts or bodies, testimony doesn't matter anymore. Just show us the goods. Present the physical evidence so it can go through scientific peer review. Let independent labs test the isotopic ratios of the metals or the DNA or maybe the lack of DNA in the biology. Until there's an actual physical object sitting on the table in front of us, it simply isn't science yet.
Let's move to and see how this builds in Section 4. Black holes and human limits. We demand that physical evidence because, honestly, human intuition is just a terrible guide to the universe. To really grasp this, we can look at extreme astrophysics, where our everyday logic completely breaks down. Take a black hole, for example. It totally defies human common sense, yet it is a proven physical reality. By definition, it's a region of space where gravity is pulling so intensely that absolutely nothing, not even light, can achieve the escape velocity needed to get out. It is the ultimate cosmic roach motel. Once you cross that boundary, which we call the event horizon, you are disconnected from the rest of the universe forever.
So I just have to ask, what actually happens if you fall into one? I know, it's an extreme scenario, but probing these completely bizarre laws of physics teaches us a really important lesson, which is that the universe is under zero obligation to make sense to our human brains. Okay, so if it's a small black hole, the gravity at your feet would be vastly stronger than the gravity at your head. These tidal forces would literally stretch you out until you just snap into pieces. It's a highly gruesome process that astrophysicists cheerfully refer to as spaghettification. But if you happen to fall into a supermassive black hole, you might actually survive crossing the threshold. Inside, according to general relativity, time dilates so dramatically for you that as you're falling toward the center, you could theoretically look back and witness the entire future history of the universe unfolding in fast forward. No way, right? It's totally mind-bending, and it just proves that our human cognitive limits shouldn't ever dictate universal truths. All right, Section 5, the simulation hypothesis refined. Now, shifting gears from physical reality for a second, let's examine a super popular philosophical concept, the simulation hypothesis. You've probably heard tech billionaires arguing that because technology advances so fast, we are almost certainly living in some advanced civilization's computer simulation. But Tyson gives this philosophical idea what he calls a Bayesian haircut. He argues that to simulate a universe, you have to have the capacity to create beings with genuine free will. And right now, humanity completely lacks the technological power to create a simulated universe populated by conscious beings. Because we haven't even proven that it's possible yet, Tyson counters those claims of near certainty and brings the statistical odds of us being in a simulation down to, at best, a 50-50 coin toss. Which brings us to our final part, Section 6, our fundamental cosmic connection. And this brilliantly illustrates such an important point. You know, between unsane dark matter, the horrors of black holes, and these unverified UFO claims, it is so easy to feel incredibly small and insignificant. But the truth is actually the most inspiring thing in all of science. You are not separate from this wild universe. You are literally forged from it. The elements making up your body right now, the oxygen in your lungs, the carbon in your cells, the iron coursing through your blood, they were manufactured in the core of exploding stars billions of years ago. Every single calorie you consume ultimately traces back to the energy of our sun, effectively making us solar-powered beings. The universe isn't just someplace out there. The universe is alive right within us. It all comes back to this incredibly beautiful perspective from Tyson. He says, when I look up, I don't feel small, I feel large, because I'm connected to the cosmos chemically. And I just love that. Understanding astrophysics doesn't diminish our humanity, it elevates it. It's a deeply profound, almost spiritual experience to realize that you are literally a way for the cosmos to know itself. You're an active part of this great unfolding cosmic story. Which leaves us with this final, really provocative thought. If we are truly made of star stuff, and the universe is already alive within you, does it ultimately matter if we ever find visitors from the stars? Whether those whistleblower claims turn out to be true or not, the reality we already inhabit is infinitely fascinating. So keep demanding evidence, keep a healthy dose of scientific skepticism, but most importantly, keep looking up. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer, and I will catch you on the next one.